All right. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday. It is morning for you. It's afternoon for me, because I'm in a different time zone. But I've just uploaded a video where we spoke a little bit about the fact that there was news this morning that Rachel Reeves might actually be U-turning on income tax, being increased in the budget on the 26th, which is now 13 days away. So I thought, because it's a Friday, we can just have a little chat. You can ask me some questions here. I do want to kind of reiterate something that I said in the video a couple of days ago, or well, a couple of weeks ago, and that is around the fact that regardless of what happens on the 26th, even if they don't increase things like income tax, I think what we will see is an increase in taxation overall, whether that be direct or indirect. And I think the people that are going to thrive the most, who are going to be able to get through it without too much financial distress, will be people who have financial resilience. And I've been making videos like this now for 5 years. This is my fifth year. Next year will be my sixth year, around personal finance and being financially responsible, making the best financial decisions, using money as a tool to help you achieve your goals, and really being attuned to where your money is going and being intentional. And over the past 5 years, across the numerous videos that I've made, none of them have really taken off until the one that I posted 2 weeks ago on a Friday, which has now got, I believe, about 40,000 views or so on them. Typically, they get 3,000 views roughly, which is still a good amount of people, but nowhere near to the amount that watched the last one. And so I want to reiterate the three things that I talked about in that video. The first one being, it's going to be very, very important to streamline your debt situation. We know that household debt in the UK, so the use of credit cards, the use of overdrafts, now the use of payday loans, so on and so forth, that has only gotten worse since the pandemic. And as we've come out of the pandemic, we've experienced inflation and mortgage rates and all that kind of stuff going up. People have become more and more reliant on credit facilities. And that's okay to help you, I guess, meet a particular need, but long term, it can be really detrimental. For me, when I struggled with debt for the period of time that I did, and it was 10 years, it felt like a noose around my neck. And so I understand very acutely the impact of using debt and having debt round your neck that you feel bad about accumulating in the first place, but now you're even struggling to make the payments to keep afloat. And so I think that first step of trying to streamline the debt, really, really important. I'm not going to cover everything that I talked about in the video there, but you can go watch it. I think it's really important to think about your balance transfers, your consolidations, that kind of thing, and where you can consolidating onto the best vehicle that you can. So whether that be via a mortgage, if you have a mortgage with enough equity, bearing in mind that there's a give and take consolidating onto a mortgage. Your mortgage term will typically be much longer than a personal loan, for example, which will be the other route that you'll take. So you've got to recognize you'll be paying more interest over time. But because it's borrowed over a longer period of time, it means that your monthly amounts would be reduced more substantially than, say, with a personal loan. So just make sure that you explore all of those options. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do that if you haven't got a healthy credit score. If you've missed payments, you've got late payments, that kind of thing, CCJs, this will be a little bit more difficult. There's a completely different route that you need to go down for that, which I would probably recommend you speak to the guys at Step Change for. But it is still worthwhile going down that route anyway, just to alleviate any pressure. And then beyond that, I would just suggest, after you've done that, really focusing in on your household budget. How much have you got coming in? How much is going out? Do you have instances where you are wasting money on certain things that you're not necessarily using, or paying for subscriptions that you haven't used for a few months? That money is better placed in your pocket than in the pocket of a multinational turning over millions or billions. It's something that we easily overlook a lot of the time, but let's face it, who needs the money more, you or them? You, I would probably say. So paying attention to that monthly budget to ensure, that you've got your money going in the right place and it's staying in your pocket is really important. Then after that, it's about trying to then build some financial resilience in an emergency fund. And I know that one in itself is a bit of a contentious point, because 1 in 4 people have less than £100 in savings right now, and I think that's a travesty. But if you can get to the point where you're, one of those 4 that does have £100 in savings, you're going to feel so much better about the financial situation that you find yourself in. And I think those 3 things are absolutely key to surviving what's going to happen in the budget in 13 days' time. Now, we are going to cover the budget live for sure. The last time we did this, bearing in mind I was watching back through the footage of the live coverage that I did last year, and the budget was in October. I think it was like the 13th or something like that, if memory serves me correctly. And it was a 2-hour long stream. And to be honest, we had the most amount of people join me on a stream ever on the channel. So we're going to be doing the same this year. I would assume it's probably going to kick off something around about 12 o'clock UK time, maybe 2 o'clock UK time at the latest. But we'll be here. We'll be here covering it live and getting live reaction and giving some live commentary. I am so interested to see what the chamber is going to be like on that day. Last year, it was explosive. I mean, Rishi, who was very, I would call him a timid, is timid the right word? I don't know if timid is the right word. He was a very laid back and measured prime minister. Measured is probably the right phrase. He was a measured prime minister. But the autumn budget last year, he came alive. He absolutely came alive. And I remember, because I was going to include it in the video that I just posted this morning, I was going to... My reaction was, well, where was all this passion when you were prime minister, right? Because he really went for Rachel. He really, really did. And I'm expecting to see the same this year. Whether we'll see Kemi Bader not be as outspoken, who knows? But it's going to be interesting. Let me just bring up this. There is a comment on here. By the way, this is a great opportunity for you to ask some questions as well. So if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we will get through them together. I've got so many windows open. Let me just arrange this properly so that everything is in a place where I can easily see them without having to get confused or distracted. Bear with me just one moment. Okay. Can I pop this out? I'm not sure that I can. Where are my glasses? I put my glasses. My glasses aren't here. Okay. I'm going to have to squint to see this because I can't actually pop out this window. So, Trev, you're saying, morning, Pete. ISA allowance for 26-27 is rumoured to be £10,000 cash ISA max and £10,000 stocks and shares. So my question is, would uninvested cash in stocks and shares be considered invested? Okay, really, really good question. How can I best show this to you? It might help if I do a drawing here to illustrate how this is proposed to work if she does do this. The fact that she's not going to increase income tax, she's not going to tax the banks, would suggest, I don't know, and I could be wrong, I could be completely wrong by this, by assuming this, but I would assume that the ISA reduction may well be in the budget, but we're going to find out on the day. I might need to connect my Zoom because I was going to do a scribe. So what we understand at the moment is the current allowance across cash and stocks is £20,000. So if she were to reduce the cash ISA allowance, then you'd have £20,000 on the stocks and shares side. You have £10,000 reduction on the cash side. The question isn't going to be what's invested and what isn't invested on the cash side. the rule is going to mean that you can't pay in more than £10,000. And if you do, you'll get a HMRC penalty. So on the cash side, all you'll be able to do is add in £10,000 into your ISA. That's it. Now, there is a workaround on the stocks and shares side where you could potentially put in £20,000 into, say, I'm going to use XTB as an example here, okay? So you can pay £20,000 into an XTB account, investment account. You could invest 10,000 of that in ETFs and get 4.25% currently with XTB on the remaining £10,000. So that's a workaround that you could exploit if she didn't introduce the reduction to the cash ISA limit in the budget. I don't think providers will prevent you from holding £10,000 in cash for a long period of time, but they might. It depends. But as we currently know it, that would be the workaround. You just stick it into you'll put it with an investment provider, and you would stick it into a cash offering that they have at 4.25%. I mean, XTB, I know, have the largest cash deposit or cash reward at the moment for uninvested funds. So yeah, that will be the workaround right now. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if it didn't or if it doesn't. I was going to do a scribe to kind of help with the visual understanding there. So if you do need it, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. I need to connect my iPad, which means I need to bring in a Zoom feed into OBS to be able to show you my iPad screen whilst I do the drawing. So if you want me to do that, just let me know in the chat, and I will definitely set it up. It will take about a minute or so for me to do so. But yeah, all right. A couple more here. So we have got a question from, bear me 1 second. Right. Slim. Is it best to use an investment onshore offshore bond rather than an investment general account after maxing pension, SIP, and stocks and shares ISA due to paying no capital gains tax? Your offshore bonds will definitely help you possibly manage your tax situation. The problem then becomes if you're going to have money offshore, you need to bring it back, you're going to have to pay tax anyway. So for that, it really depends on your personal circumstances as to what is going to be best for you. Because look, when we talk about tax being a main concern, and it is, there are different things that you can do at different times to help you mitigate the tax situation. But you've got to make sure that you're picking the right thing to do for the right reasons. And you've got to make sure that those reasons are aligned with your overall plan. So yeah, it can help if you use onshore and offshore. I mean, look, with bonds, you have 5% tax deferred withdrawals anyway. Maybe this is where I do need to kind of bring in a window. Maybe I do actually. Look, give me a second. Give me a second. If I can bring in a window here, let me just try and bring in a window here. It's going to take me about a minute or so to do. Stop there.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Let's get rid of that. And let's bring in AirPlay on this. Let's click this on, because it will just be easier for me to illustrate this in terms of how it typically works. And okay. It's going to be a pain because I also need to structure out what part of the screen I'm actually sharing here as well, because you don't want that part. Okay, so we need to have this somewhere around we need to have this somewhere around. Move this quickly. Doing. Okay, I think that's going to be as optimal as I can get. This is the scribe that I did for the video earlier this week. So let me just get rid of this quickly, and then I can just talk you through. Actually, let's start on a new one. All right, so on tax, everyone can see that, right? Just let me know in the chat if you can. Although I've just put that over. Bear me 1 second. This is where the screens will get fiddly because I've got so many windows open. It's just crazy. Let's pop that one up here somewhere. Let's make this a bit smaller. Also, don't want to have to turn my head too far either with looking at these screens. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, cool. You can see this. All right, so let's just say, for example, right, if you put, 100K into a bond, right? So this is sat inside a bond wrapper. What you can do is you can do tax deferred withdrawals. Now, within a bond, you can take 5% each time. So that means that off your, £100,000, you can take 5% each year. Now, the idea is that if you hold this bond for, 10 years, right? That will only be 50%. So your 5% is what, £5,000 of your bond? So you can take £5,000 each year, tax deferred, right? You're going to have to pay tax on it, but later on. Now, because your 5% gets rolled up each year, if, say, for example, in the first, you have it for 20 years. Let's just say in the first 5 years, you didn't take any withdrawals at all during this period of time. So you took 0 withdrawals. When you get to year 5, having not taken anything in the first 4 years, you can take 25% of what you have in that bond as a tax deferred withdrawal. So bonds are very, very useful for this. Now, if you have them onshore, obviously it's subject to tax, obviously in the UK. If you have them offshore, depending on where you put them, this is where you're going to need to take advice. So yeah, you can use bonds as a vehicle potentially to help you mitigate with the tax. Doesn't mean that you're not necessarily you're not going to pay the tax overall. You might just be deferring when you pay the tax, depending on what kind of bond you choose. But you should really, for a very, very clear answer, you need to be speaking to a financial advisor or get some advice on it, because there are different bonds you can do, different places you can put an offshore bond. You want to make sure you're picking the right one for you at any given time. Hopefully that is helpful as an explanation. Let me know if not, though. All right, let's see what else we have here. Flair. If ISO allowance were to be reduced, would they come into immediate effect or at the start of the next financial year? Would it be sensible to consider maxing out an ISA prior to the budget? So any changes that she makes will probably only come in April 2026. So it won't be for this current tax year. So what I'm saying to people is you should absolutely try and max out as much as you can in your ISAs right now. Because if she does do it, you can't go back and use your ISA allowance. There is no rollback period on ISAs now. So yeah, for sure, max out your ISA as much as you possibly can. If you can't get to 20 grand, if you've only got 5 grand, just put it in there. Just use as much as you can and put as much as you can in. Because once the tax year is over, the tax year is basically, it's over. You're not going to get that allowance back. Any thoughts on how to become a really high earner in the UK? I work in finance as a data scientist. Other companies have capped salaries, £100,000, less than 100,000. Should I move to front office to earn more? This is a really good question, mate. There are so many different sectors in financial services. I mean, I started off in retail banking. So I started off as a cashier, and then I was quickly moved to the front desk and then became kind of like a customer advisor for a period of time. I went from that to relationship management, business development. Relationship management was good. I mean, it's an okay role. I mean, if you're bringing in sales and you're getting paid commission, then yeah, you can make really, really, really good money. I didn't start making really good money, and when I say really good money, over 100,000, until I got to Canary Wharf, that's where my earnings took off, because I was in an environment where, number one, it's Canary Wharf anyway. So we're now talking, I'm not selling like a product that is only for small to medium sized enterprises anymore, right? And I wouldn't say graduate. I've graduated from that. So I'm now selling investment products, like pensions, that kind of stuff, and a service into financial advisors. The amounts of money that you're talking about per case becomes much, much larger. So, for example, when I was a relationship manager for Lombard, which was part of the Royal Bank of Scotland, I might be financing, I remember financing a McLaren once, and that was what, £150,000. But by the time you do the calculation of what my commission would be, it's minuscule compared to, I'm working in Canary Wharf, and now we're talking about, bringing in half a million quid, 2 million quid in business in one case. The commission rates are so much bigger because you're dealing with bigger amounts. And so if you're a data scientist right now in a sector in financial services, the question that I would be asking is, where is the money for what you do? And try and find your way there, because you want to be in the place where the money is flowing the most, for sure. And that isn't to say that, working where you are at the moment isn't good. It depends what good money is to you, mate. If you want to be over £100,000, then, aim for that. But also just remember that it comes with, earning over 100 grand comes, there are issues with that, because you start to lose your personal allowance. And the first time I discovered that I was going to lose my personal allowance was in 2000 and I think it was 14, 15. And I had a tax bill land on my doorstep. And I was like, I thought I paid all of my taxes. And he's like, no. I've lost my personal allowance. And all of a sudden, I've got to pay, I think it was something like 10 grand or something like that. And I was like, what's going on here? And so, like, aim high, just be prepared, get some advice, and know what you're going to do in terms of that mitigation of tax. Salary sacrificing can help if she doesn't target that, as we spoke about this week. But yeah, ask the question, where is the money flowing for what you do, and go there. If you have to change employees, change employees. I literally had colleagues when I was in Canary Wharf where they would jump around every 2 years, because it's like, if you stay in one organization, the risk is that you don't get pay rises, especially if they promote from within. Oftentimes they don't give huge pay rises. So I had colleagues where they'd be like, I'm going to do 2 years here, then I'm going to put my CV out. And because I'm already here with this company, that company is going to have to pay me more for me to move. And each time they would get 5, 10K pay rises as a result of that. And I had a colleague of mine who did it 4 times, 40 grand more within, I think he moved almost every year to 18 months. He accelerated his earnings massively. And I think if you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day, I know that employers will talk about loyalty and they want employee loyalty, but that loyalty goes both ways, in my opinion. So yeah, just think about what are the options that you have. If you need to move employer, mate, don't feel bad that you have to. Any thoughts on how to limit inheritance tax? Assume assets 3 million all tied up in Southeast building. How's it assets? Okay, look, it's hard. Look, I can't give you specifics because I don't know your personal circumstances and I don't want to cross the line of giving advice here. I work with a lot of people on a one-on-one basis where we break down. I need to know what you have first and foremost. If it's all in housing, 3 million is over the threshold anyway. I don't know whether you're married or not. If you're married, then potentially you've got double the nil rate band and double the residence nil rate band, but you're still going to be 2 million quid over. And that's 40% bill to your beneficiaries. So there are different ways in which you can do this. The best thing is to try and take some advice. And I know I keep going to that, but you have to make sure that you're sourcing the solution that is going to match your needs specifically. I did a coaching session with someone, it was about 3 weeks ago now, also watches the channel. He had a net worth currently in his 30s pretty healthy net worth, actually, coming up to 1.5 million, and he's already thinking about that equation already. And that's not to mention what he's going to inherit from his parents. So you may want to inherit things from your parents. And in his circumstances, I was saying, look, you've already got your own issue as it is. You're only in your 30s, so your estate is going to grow even larger because you're going to continue working and you're going to continue to invest and acquire assets. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have to be responsible for your parents' IHT when the time comes that you're going to obviously inherit those assets. So I said to him, you need to speak to your parents about what planning they have in place, and if they have any planning in place, and if they don't, try to get some planning in place. There are lots of things that you can do on the inheritance tax side, putting things in trusts, but that's not straightforward. For that, you need to take proper advice because you need to figure out what trust is going to be best for you, for the circumstances. People can use things like life insurance policies, and that's a very simple solution, but is it the right thing to do based on your circumstances? So yeah, you need some advice, mate. And if you don't know where to go, or you need an introduction to someone that can do a good job for you, then let me know, mate, because I still do have good friends in financial planning who are still financial planners that I trust, and I would trust with my money, and I would trust with them looking after my family's money as well. So yeah, it's a really difficult one for me to answer online here, but there are lots of things that you can do. It just depends on your circumstances. Lastly, is it worth to focus on a side hustle in addition to being a high earner? Was thinking maybe create a YouTube channel on learning software development, exit it. But it's content just like yours. Listen, dude, right. I love this. You definitely should reach out to me, mate, for sure. I have an affinity for what I do here. And I love what I do here. It's allowed me to do things that I never thought would be possible. And I definitely wouldn't be able to have been able to do any of them if I was in an employed role. Having said that, though, I took the jump to make it my full-time job in 2020. And I was kind of forced to because of COVID anyway, but it was something that I was thinking about for years. And coincidentally, I took a YouTube course at the end of 2019 because I was like, I've sat on this since 2016. I'm just going to go do it. And so, yeah, look, YouTube and creating content is very, very rewarding. It's stressful. Sometimes it can feel like a thankless task as well. But the possibilities are huge. Now, what I do think is worthwhile just noting immediately is you've got to be careful about thinking of YouTube as a side hustle and as a income stream. And the reason why I say that is I've been doing this 5 years. So in the 5 years of doing this, year one, I made zero money. So imagine, this is in COVID, by the way. So I was headhunted at the end of 2019, moved to a different company for good money, nice increase, only to be told in the March, look, COVID lockdown, for what we hired you for, you're not going to be able to do it because we can't have people in rooms. So they hired me to basically be an educator holding conferences nationwide, doing what I do now in these videos, but in person to their client base, all high net worth individuals, family members, so on and so forth. So it's kind of like an educational thing. But obviously with COVID, they couldn't do that. So they let me go. So that first year, I earned zero money, and I focused on content and trying to create as much content as I possibly can that I thought would be as impactful as possible. It wasn't until year two that I made any money at all. And back in 2020, 2021, I had the benefit that we were all locked down. I mean, people were at home. There was lots of money sloshing around because people couldn't spend their money. And there was a huge focus on investing and what I talk about on the channel specifically. That's definitely helped me and has helped catapult the channel, and allowed me to write a best-selling book and to be on TV and do all that kind of stuff. I think if you go into it now, you need to understand your niche extremely well. And you need to figure out who your audience is, how you're going to monetize. Those are probably the two biggest challenges for people starting YouTube now. Really being narrow on the audience, understanding who you want to reach, and monetizing. Yes, you can make a lot of money on YouTube, but it's going to take time. And you have to set your stall out as you intend to carry on. Meaning, if you don't know how you're going to monetize from day one, you're probably going to do the wrong things that will make it impossible for you to monetize. So I think it's definitely worthwhile us talking, mate, because I can give you a few pointers in there around what you want to do. But should you? Absolutely. But just be mindful, you need dedication and commitment. If you're doing one video a week, that's going to be really, really hard for you to grow now, because there's so much content online. Ideally, you want to be doing 2 videos a week at the minimum. You got to think about what that looks like. Now on the channel, 5 years in, I'm doing 3 videos at least 4 videos a week, 5 sometimes. That's 1 video a day. But I've got my process down now where I can set up the camera and I can record and have an edit done in 90 minutes. Prior, that would have taken me 2 days at least to create a video. And that is thinking of the idea, scripting the idea, filming the idea, editing the idea. It's 2 days. I've now been able to streamline that down to 90 minutes because I'm a lot more organized and I kind of know my own routine and I've got my own process now. You're going to have to go through those same battles. So yes, you should definitely try and think about content for sure, because the sky literally is the limit. You can build a business around this. But yeah, just know that it's going to take some dedication to do that. And you have to think about how you're going to manage that alongside your job. There is a question here from Amy. Amy, how you doing? My current company pension is with Nest. There were limited options for where to invest this money. What are my options? I don't think I can move away from Nest all the time at the current company. Yeah, so Nest is not there as a provider. And I did do a collaboration with Nest last year. And I asked them this question, say, look, the performance oftentimes isn't that great. And they're not there as a provider to offer a broad range of investment options to help you maximize your retirement pot. They are there as a conduit to get you started. So if you're already with a company and they're paying into Nest, you can't do a partial transfer. You have to do a full transfer, which is a little bit tricky, really, to be honest. Because I remember a couple of years ago, my limited company, I pay into a Nest pension because of auto enrollment. And so I tried to partially transfer, it wasn't allowed. I don't know whether they've changed that, so it might be worthwhile having a chat with Nest. But what I would say is you definitely want to get it out of their default fund for sure. You want to get it into something else other than the default fund, because the default fund, when I looked at the performance, it doesn't really do much at all. I mean, nothing really. 1-2% isn't going to get you what you need for retirement. So try and get it into something else, one of their higher risk ones. The alternative there would be to, on the side, start paying into a private pension of your own and use maybe a Vanguard or something like that as your vehicle, because you're going to have a wider range of investment options there that can work a little bit harder and help you grow your money a little bit more. Ben UK, employers are often put off hiring people that change jobs every couple of years. I don't think anymore. I don't know. I've not been in the employment realm now for 5 years. I don't really know. It depends on your industry. You know, my colleague that I was referring to there, he was very, very good at his job. And bearing in mind, we were working in wealth management, selling very specific things. We were specialists, if you will. So oftentimes, you're going to get an offer to be headhunted if your numbers are really, really good. And Phil was just freaking great at his job. He was amazing at his job. He had really good relationships as well. So for what we were doing, it didn't matter whether he moved 4 or 5 times because the companies wanted him and his relationship. So We're talking when he gets headhunted, they're throwing 10 grand, 15 grand at him with a signing bonus because we're in a specialized field. That isn't going to be the same for everyone in the UK. But generally speaking, the data does show that if you move companies, you get offered more money. So if you're good at what you do and you're comfortable moving and you're focused on what you want, there's nothing wrong with it at the end of the day. And if an employer wants you bad enough because you're good at what you do, they'll take you. I've invested in general investment account with Moneybox. It's about 10k at the moment. Should I transfer it to a stocks and shares ISA? Yes, you should, 100%. Because at the minute, where it's in a general investment account, you will have to pay tax on growth. So yeah, you should definitely try and transfer that into an ISA as soon as possible. There may be a tax bill for before the transfer happens, because essentially what they will need to do is they will need to sell down the investment, which will be called a chargeable event. So you'll have to pay a little bit of tax now, but it will be better for you to pay a little bit of tax, get it into the ISA so you don't have to pay tax on it furthermore, than keeping it there. So yeah, definitely speak to Moneybox about doing that. And look, you've grown it to 10k, mate. That's amazing. I mean, a lot of people, they don't have portfolios worth 10k at the minute. So, and it's good to hear that you've locked in that habit and you've grown a portfolio already to 10k. It's fantastic, mate. We just need to get it into a tax-free environment. I can see a Nigerian name here, Adi. Adi? Yeah, there we go. Adi Akintola. Late to the party, but thoughts on the London property market with the prospective tax changes. I'm not a property guy, so I don't really know, mate, but I think London is a little bit more resilient than other parts of the country. So I think you'll still find a little bit of resilience. It depends what you have, though. From what I have been hearing from my friends who are in property in London, like rent flats in London, that market is not doing well. And it's not doing well because of service charges. People are just put off. And, I had a friend of mine, Laura, she had a property that she tried to sell in London a couple of years ago now. And she found it hard going selling that property in London because of the service charge. And like the service charge is an additional charge to like the mortgage, council tax, gas, electric, the cost of being in London. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And with these things going up on a yearly basis as well, it makes owning a flat a lot less attractive. So yeah, the flat sector apparently isn't doing too well from speaking to my friends. But if you're thinking about, just general homes like houses, I think you'll be a little bit more resilient. The whole thing around the Renters' Rights Bill, that's going to be very, very interesting as well in terms of what landlords are going to do in London. Because, yeah, that's going to flip things on its head. Ultimately, I think it's going to make it worse for renters, though. But who knows? I think that because I've been speaking to a load of my friends who are landlords, and if I look at all of my friends are selling up. All of them are selling up. I'm even thinking about even jetting property at the moment because of it, and taking the money elsewhere. But I don't know. It's London at the end of the day. It's got a unique market. I'm currently overpaying mortgage by 1/3 every month. 12 years left on term, 34% loan to value. Am I insane to contemplate half in my life savings in ISA to clear it if I can do it now? Emergency fund is safe. Oh, okay. You've got a continuation here. I've calculated that I can replenish the halved savings in approximately 5 years with the save mortgage payments inclusive of the overpayment. Is it nuts? Okay, really, really good question. How do I answer this? Like with all of these, there's a mathematical answer, and then there's a more what's the right phrase? There's a more illogical answer. Okay, that's how I'm going to phrase it. If you do the maths, and if you say that you've calculated here that you can replenish your life savings in 5 years, you've got an emergency fund that will tie you over. But it means that how soon? So if you did this, you've got 12 years left at the moment. So if you did this by, spending half your life savings, okay, you're going to do that in approximately 5 years. So you're going to save yourself 7 years off the mortgage. If you do the calculation, so the calculation is going to be, okay, so 7 years worth of interest on the mortgage. What does that come to? And how much are you spending to save you that 7 years? The mathematical equation may say, okay, well, why not invest the money? Well, then you're going to have market risk. You may not necessarily want to do that. And this is where sometimes the mathematical and logical answer doesn't really matter at all. What really matters is the answer to the question I'm about to ask you right now. You're talking about using half of your life savings to shave off 7 years off your property, off the mortgage of your property. So in 5 years' time, so 2030, you are going to be mortgage free. Now picture you do that now. And in 2030, just imagine the day comes, the mortgage is paid off. Is that feeling that you have in your head going to be worth more than if you stayed on course and continued to pay the mortgage past 2030? Whatever the answer to that question is the right answer for you. The maths and the logic doesn't necessarily matter beyond that. And this is what I've learned in financial services. This is what I've learned being a financial advisor and a mortgage advisor. We all have this idea of this is what logically would make sense from a mathematical point of view, but oftentimes we don't make financial decisions from a logical point of view. It's very, very rare that we do that. Oftentimes our choices and our decisions are driven by emotion and the feeling ultimately that we're all chasing off security. If you're going to feel more secure in 2030, knowing that, okay, look, I spent half my life savings to get me mortgage free 7 years earlier. And by the way, I've now replenished the life savings that I spent, and that brings you peace and gives you peace of mind, and that's what you should do. That's what you should do. And that is the logical human answer to the question. I hope that helped, because it's not specific, because I can't give you the direct answer, but it's what do you think is going to be best for you? That's all that matters. Nothing else matters. How are you going to feel? Steve, hi Pete. I've been enrolled into my workplace pension. They only use Aviva, and I'll be placed into the default pension fund. Is there any options to change fund in something like the VWRP within Aviva? Okay, cool. Aviva have a massive, massive, massive suite of investment options. Huge. So you may not find the VWRP specifically, but you'll find something like it. So what I would suggest that you do is reach out to the guys at Aviva and just ask them, look, what options do you have that mirror or are similar to the VWRP? And they'll give you a list, and then you just select it. It's very, very simple, mate. But they have a huge selection of funds that you can access for sure. Stuart, I'm considering a move to the Netherlands. Would I still be able to trade within my current trading ISA with the money already in it? Yes. So the rule is if you leave the UK, you're not a UK resident, you can't add to your existing ISAs. Okay, so for example, I'm in Dubai, I've moved to Dubai. I have money in my ISA right now invested. I can keep the money there, I can disinvest it, I can withdraw it, but I can't put that money back in if I withdraw it, and I can't add money to it whilst it's invested. So effectively, you're going to lose the ability to add money into the account. But if you have money in there, you can trade it, you can invest it, you can do whatever you want. You just can't add any more money into it because to use an ISA in the UK, you have to be resident in the UK. Hopefully that answers the question. Sir Finley, I think Rachel Reeves should have increased 2% and then did the honourable thing and resigned. She has put in her own job and party first instead of balancing the books. You know, this is what I said in the video that I uploaded this morning. You know, man, it's gonna be interesting to see and watch the budget on the 26th. She was given a massive opportunity, real big opportunity. I said it in the video. They are putting the party first. And in the conference the week before, she said that's not what they want to do. They want to put the country first. And I think she did a great job of painting the picture of the challenge. And she's done that now for what? It's like, put up income tax by 2p. Yes, it's going to anger a lot of people. But for people who are in PAYE, she was given a get out clause. If you increase national insurance by 2p, so you offset, if you're on PAYE, apparently you're cost neutral. There is no increase in tax, but there is an increase in the book. She hasn't taken that route. So I don't know what she's going to... It's all going to be indirect taxes. Freeze the income threshold to 2030. Pull more people in. It's going to be, I don't know, capital gains tax. It's going to be all of this indirect stuff, in opposed to just going for maybe the easiest thing to help fill the black hole. I don't know what she's going to do. It's going to be interesting. I'll cover it live. It's going to be very interesting indeed. Alethea is saying, agree, that's where I'm stuck at right now, trying to weigh up and take on board all of the points before I make this leap. Really appreciate the input and what you do with your channel. No, thank you so much. Like I said, you know, the reason why I put it to you in that way is because I've sat in front of enough clients where we would talk about the most logical thing to do, and you could always sense it's not necessarily, it doesn't inspire them, is the best way that I can put this. I've seen it too many times. And when you start to drill down, look, how would you feel? What's important to you? What's going to make you feel more secure? Look, let's face it, the mortgage is your biggest asset, right? It's the biggest asset you'll probably own. It's your biggest monthly expense for most people. Just the idea of not having to pay the mortgage, and then you own that biggest asset, that roof over your head. For a lot of people, that you wake up in the morning, you just feel secure. And let me just speculate here. It's not even speculation. A lot of people, why they don't feel secure or safe at the moment is because of the financial burden. If you own the roof over your head, all you've got to do is focus on council tax, food, gas, electric, water, utilities. That's it. For a large part of this conversation, you know, that's freedom. It's freedom. It's freedom of choice of whether you want to dial back, you know, working hours, whether you want to dial up working hours, whether, you know, it's not just about the mortgage payment. It's about so much more. So you have to figure out what would make you happy. And what I would encourage you to do, and I do this in coaching all the time, and look, if you want to book a coaching call with me, there is a link in the description. Really start to visualize both scenarios that I mentioned. So 2030, what does it look like when you no longer have that mortgage to pay? What are the things that you want to do? Do you have places that you want to go? Countries that you want to visit? Do you want to spend more time with family? Like, really flesh that out. Like in my book, at the very beginning of the book, I take people through 3 exercises. I take people through the wheel of life. Okay, so this is, you know, areas, aspects of your life where you would like to improve or spend more time on. Then I go through the finance wheel. And the finance wheel are facets of your finance to improve. Because oftentimes, if you want to do stuff in your life, you need the finances that sit behind it. And then I take people through a timeline exercise. So the timeline exercise is think about 10 years, 7 years, 5 years from now. What do you want life to be? Where do you want to spend? What are your goals, right? What would it ideally look like? And then working back to what you need to do now. I'd encourage you, even if you don't book a call with me, go get the book and go through those 3 exercises. It will be illuminating. I absolutely promise you, stuff that I used to sit down with clients as a financial advisor and spend hours on. And that would always be the foundation for any financial advice that we gave, because it's not about, the house per se. It's about you and what you want to achieve. Okay, I have a loan with 2 years left to pay, 6.2%. I have a similar amount, but similar amount built up in a stock and shares ISA. Should I pay off, then start again with the increased cash flow, or just see out whilst building the stock and shares ISA? Okay. Right. So the question here is, it's hard for me. I need to distill down what we would do in coaching with you very, very succinctly into maybe just a couple of questions, basically. I don't know your circumstances in terms of the finances right now, okay? But what I would be interested to know is the debt that you have, you've got 2 years left on it. Is that a burden on your finances right now, or is it easily manageable? If it's easily manageable, then yes, you could pay this thing off. You might save yourself a little bit of interest, but ultimately, you're in a loan strategy right now, which means it's close-ended. 2 years is going to be gone. Now, if peace of mind, you wake up in the morning and it bugs you that you've got it, then yes, buy the peace of mind and pay it all off. But if it's not something that is weighing on you too much, and you know that you can comfortably sustain that spending to service that debt, then continue building into your stocks and shares ISA. Because if your interest rate is 6.2%, and look, we don't know what markets are going to do at any given time, right? But if you're putting money regularly into the markets on a monthly basis, and you're pound cost averaging into this thing, you're going to have the compounding effect. Now, depending on what you're in, if you're getting, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% returns, you're likely going to make more money on the stock market. But again, it depends on your circumstances as a whole. It depends whether that is a noose around your neck, whether you feel any pressure with that. If it's keeping you up at night, then maybe it might be worthwhile buying the peace of mind and paying it off, and then really, putting money into the investment strategy, knowing that you no longer have that payment, and you can cycle the amount or part of the amount you are paying on that loan into investments either way. But it really depends on your circumstances and what your goals are. If we were doing coaching, I take people through a full process, like to really understand what their aspirations are, because looking at this in isolation may not be the biggest thing or the only thing that is a consideration for you in terms of making this decision. I like to get a full picture of where you are, what your goals are, to be able to determine, is this actually a big deal or is it not? Because it might not be compared to other things that you might want to do. But hopefully that helps. It's really, really difficult for me to give full context without knowing the full picture. Quick lazy maths, G7, where are we going here? G7 tax-free seems to be 10K in pounds value reduction to that would bring tax and increase your business owners. That salary is tax-free and dividend rest one way or another. I don't know what tax you just did there. That calculation you've done there, Jordan. Ade, what would be a good percentage to take home? What would be a good percentage of take-home income to go on your monthly mortgage repayments? Depends what is comfortable for you, mate. That's the most important thing. What's comfortable for you? So once you've done all of your monthly budgeting, right? So you've got X coming in, your expenditure is this, and you've got your disposable income. How much of that do you want to put towards maybe a mortgage or overpaying your mortgage? Bearing in mind you still can, cover all of your essential stuff. That's what I would kind of perhaps get you to think about. Some people will say 10%, 15%, 20%, but it depends on how much disposable income you have. If you only have like 50 quid left over on a monthly basis, then, you know, it's very, very different to if you have £200 left over and you want to put in 50 quid. That's 25%, right? And obviously, you know, putting in 200 quid or whatever it might be as an overpayment is going to get you further down the line of reducing it quicker. So it's all relative. I have a small online accountancy business. I was thinking of moving abroad for a change of scenery and still do my accounting work remotely. Is 50k income too small for a move to Dubai? No, dude. No, it's not. Honestly, it's not. If you're not following my second channel, you should go follow my second channel. It's pinned. I'm pretty sure it's pinned on the channel. It's called Dubai Diaries. You should go follow there. The process of moving here is actually relatively simple. You need some cash up front to be able to do it. So you've got registration costs for a business here that you need to consider. It's all on my other channel. I'd explain how it all works and all that kind of stuff. But if you're pulling in 50 grand a year, that's not. No, it's not. I mean, it depends whether you got kids or not, whether you got family, whether it's just you. There are other factors that need to come in. I mean, can be expensive here. Rental costs can be expensive here. You know, at the end of the day, it's a major city. So rents can be expensive here. If you have children, school fees, it's all private schools. So you need to obviously bear that in mind. There is no socially funded medical, like healthcare. So you've got to have medical insurance here, but medical insurance, to be honest, is not expensive at all. I have a pre-existing medical condition in sickle cell anemia, and my insurance last year was 1,800 quid for the year. Now, I have a pre-existing medical condition, so mine was rated up quite a bit. For ordinary people, you're probably looking £600 a year. And trust me, my missus, she was ill earlier this year in the January, February. And we took her to the local clinic. And by the way, when you get medical insurance, you have a whole list of clinics that you can go to, or hospitals that you can go to, or medical centers you can go to. We picked the closest one to us in Motor City. We took her there, checked her in. She sat down. And literally by the time she sat down, a nurse was around the corner, we'll take you in. And she got treated within 20 minutes. She had fluids going in within 30 minutes. She was out there within an hour with medication, feeling so much better. Like, the infrastructure here and the medical care here is top notch. It's freaking, honestly, we're used to like sitting in A&E at home and it's become the norm. You're never going to have that here. And honestly, it was so eye-opening because I was like, she got hers via work, via her school. And I'm like, I've paid for mine a little begrudgingly because I'm not used to paying for medical insurance. But I was like, if this is what I get when I need medical help, then it's money that's very, very well spent. So there are things that you need to be mindful of. But if you're on your own, 50K, yeah, it's more than enough. But just consider you're going to have cost to move. So business setup. I am linked up with a company that helps people set up businesses here. I've got a Telegram group with 400 people who are all moving to Dubai or have already moved to Dubai. A mixture of people who have got jobs over here in contracts, a ton of business owners. We have meetups every month. In fact, on the 6th of December, we're hiring a 50-foot yacht. And we're having a 4-hour meetup on a yacht where we just literally socialize and just enjoy Dubai from the sea. And it's going to be freaking amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. 50 grand is more than enough to do it, but you've got the upfront cost. So go and look at the second channel, Dubai Diaries, and just watch a few videos there. And the links that are there can help you with company setups. The guys that I do company setups with here are guys called GenZone. You can literally just book a free call. You should do that actually. 1 second. I'll find the link. I'm going to pop it in here just for you, mate. Where am I? I will find the link, pop it in just for you. Ask to speak to Kevin and tell him that I sent you and he will look after you. But it's a free call. They can talk you through the process, what it would actually cost you, what they would need. I mean, you can have a business set up in Dubai in 2 weeks, literally, using the guides that I use. Where is it? My diary. Right, I've just popped that in the chat for you there. Just go have a chat and just have a preliminary chat and see how you feel about it. But yeah, 50 grand is more than enough, mate. Oh, good man. See, no, look, right? So he just said here, thanks for the answer you gave. Loan is serviceable alongside stocks and shares and pension. I was leaning towards the answer you gave. A lot of this stuff, like, it's helpful to get an outside perspective, which is why I enjoy doing coaching so much. I don't spend as much time, or I can't give as much space in my diary for coaching. But when I do it, I really enjoy it because a lot of the time it allows people to get another perspective. And that often is quite illuminating, especially when you combine that with the fact that in coaching, it's all about trying to also zoom out to the future and really unearth your goals. And, you know, if we're here making money, what is the purpose of this money? It's to build a life that we want, right? So, you know, I like that. And I love that. I love that answer. Thank you very much. No medical conditions you're saying here, mate. Yeah. So look, you'll get very, very good cover for 500, 600 quid, if that, a year. It's nothing, mate. It's absolutely nothing. Yeah, you can also subscribe to the other channel, mate, for sure. But yeah, there's lots of stuff on that channel that will help you in the decision if you want to move over here. It is a big decision, I will tell you that. I mean, we were planning this we first spoke about this in 2020. We've been coming here for 10 years. We first seriously started thinking about, oh, it would be nice to move to Dubai in 2020. We've been planning it since 2022. So it's been like 3 years in the making. We should have moved last year, but because my partner's a teacher, she got offered a job and the school just took ages to verify the job and to go through all of the processes that you need to go through to be offered a job. And it just so happened that it fell into place last year. If the one fell through the year before last year, so we should have been here a year early, but everything worked out last year, and it's all just coincided with everything that's happening right here now. Do you have a car in Dubai? Yes, I do. I bought a car when I got here full time in January, because that way I didn't want, renting a car here is expensive. I mean, it's ridiculously expensive. I mean, if I had Teslas back home, right? So I had a Tesla Model S that got written off. I got a Model Y. To rent a Tesla Model Y here in Dubai, I looked at it because I was interested of getting into the same car. It worked out in pounds, something like £900 a month just to rent the car. To rent the Model S that I used to have is £1,500. It's ridiculous. Renting a car is expensive. So for me, I bought a car cash when I got here in January, and my philosophy is I'm going to run it around. I'll drive it into the ground, and then if I ever did need to leave, I can just sell it and at least get a little bit of money back into my pocket. But yeah, I do have a car here. You need a car to get around, to be honest. They don't have really an established public transport system unless you're in Dubai Marina and along Sheikh Zayed Road. They've got a really, really nice public transport system along there. But if you're in Town Square, Dubai Creek, JVC, JVT, or any place like that, you're going to need a car. You need a car to get around. All right, okay. I'm just scanning to see if I've missed any questions. I don't think I have. I think I've tended to most of them. I'm mindful this is Friday, and for you guys, it's like morning coming into afternoon now. So I appreciate you joining. I haven't even looked at who's here, how many people are viewing. There's 51 of you. Amazing. Please do me a favor. please like the video if you've got value from this. It just means that this will also get pushed out. As you know, we're trying to get to 80,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm going to take some of December off because we're going to Egypt from here. It's 4 hours away. We've always wanted to see the pyramids. I've not seen them. And yeah, we're going to do that. So there's going to be a week in December when I'm not going to be here. There'll probably be no videos. So I'm a little apprehensive because with the channel, you kind of need the views to get, obviously, people to subscribe and stuff. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We're going to cross about 72,000 subscribers by the end of the weekend. So we're still going to have 8,000 to go. We may or may not make it this year, but I think, next year, the target is to get over 100,000 subscribers. And I think we'll probably do that by the March. If I'm able to continue with the content and keep up with the content, which is my intention. The plan here is to cover more news, have some educational tidbits in there, and perhaps even I'm thinking about how to branch out into other topics and have people that may be more trained in the economy, for example, be part of the channel. I've got a massive plan, really, because I've come to realize that it's not necessarily about the education around finances per se. That is important, but one thing that I have definitely learned, certainly over the last 6 months of kind of testing the waters and pivoting slightly, is people don't necessarily know what they need. And there's a phrase that has been said to me for the last few years, which has only just started to make sense now that I pivoted. You've got to hide the vegetables. And we all do this even with kids, right? You want kids to eat something, you might put it in with something sweet so that they get the vegetables that they need. It's the same thing with content. I talk a lot about, behavioral psychology and how the mindset around money is so important. That as a topic does not trend, does not do well from a content point of view. However, news stuff on the finance side does. So I can hide the vegetables by covering some of the news topics, but with a bit of financial education around debt and budgeting and all of this good stuff that we talk about on occasion in those videos. How to invest, investment providers, hiding the vegetables in news articles, newsworthy themes that you're coming across anyway every day. And what I'm realizing is people don't understand the new stuff. So if they don't understand the new stuff, they're definitely not going to understand some of the more complex financial stuff. So hiding the vegetables in the content. And that's what I plan to do moving forward. That's a new lane of direction. And literally, if I go into my YouTube analytics, honestly, let me just go in here and I might just share this with you as well, if I can. Go onto the other channel. Because you'll see the spike here and it's absolutely insane. If I can actually share this, let's go the last 90 days. Actually, let's go longer than that. So this was... Bear me 1 second. I'm just trying to find the right thing that actually paints the right picture for you. Okay, I'm a little reticent to show you this, actually, to be fair, because when I say that YouTube is hard, oftentimes when you see this, it won't paint the picture that YouTube is hard. But I'm going to show you this anyway, because I just think, why the hell not? Okay, so let me see if I can actually get the right window up here. And this is very much a deep dive, full transparency on the channel. All right, where are my properties on this? There we go. And which one do I want? I want channel analytics. Okay. sure you'll be able to see this in a second, and I probably need to just resize this very quickly. Okay. Does that look good? Yes, this does look good. Okay. No one has ever seen this before. This is the first time that I'm showing this to anyone on the channel. Okay. So this right here is the last 90 days on the channel. So 798,000 views. So over 250,000 views simply by covering news content, and news content alone with hiding the vegetables, with financial education, so on and so forth. We've grown just under 11,000 subscribers in that last 90 days. And this is how much the channel has generated in the last 3 months in AdSense revenue. So how AdSense revenue works is when you watch a video and you see the ads in, you can skip them. I get a little bit of the ad revenue spend with YouTube. Now, let me just stress, this is for 3 months, okay? So on average, because I know what people will be thinking, oh my God, Pete, you've made $5,000, but this is my business, okay? If this is my only stream of income, 4,550, I'm going to call it 52, divide that by 3 is £1,500 a month, okay? Which is decent. It's decent. I'm not saying that it isn't. It is. But that's with 5 videos, well, 3 to 5 videos a week, and constantly planning and recording and thinking about research for videos. You know, if I was back home and I was thinking about my home bills, 1,500 quid doesn't cover my bills at all. It just doesn't. So, you know, take that with a pinch of salt. Luckily, I have other things that I build around the business to be able to mean that I don't necessarily rely on that specifically here. But what I wanted to show you here is if we actually go back out a little bit, and I might need to just come in here. Might need to go this way. If I go back over the last, 365 days, so just bear in mind, okay, we've done 798,000 views in 90 days. In the last 12 months, 1.4 million. So in 90 days, we've done half of the yearly views. It paints the picture the way you're seeing these spikes in the graph here. This is when I started to test pivoting. Because look at this, right? So daily views, 899, 1,732, 865. You get up to here, 58,000 views in one day on some of these, 3,600, 4,000, 5,000, 7,000, 15,000. The graph tells me that it's better in terms of the sustainability of a YouTube channel to hide the vegetables with news coverage. And that's kind of what we're pivoting to. You may or may not have wanted to see that, but I do think it's important just to kind of like paint the picture of what the intention is with the channel. And the intention is obviously to try and educate and build people. And, I can't remember who it was asking about creating YouTube. Like YouTube on its own, AdSense alone. If this was 10 years ago, I mean, based on the views, that's 798,000 views. 10 years ago, that would have paid probably 50 grand in AdSense revenue. It's changed a lot. So when I talked about monetizing and knowing how you're going to monetize your channel at the very, very beginning, when you start, you have to, because AdSense alone will not cover your bills. It just won't cover your bills alone. And so you've got to be very, very mindful and very, very insightful into it. But hopefully that might have been a little bit of an insightful behind the scenes of the channel. Someone's asking here, does the higher tax bracket of 50,250 applied after the £12,000 personal allowance, e.g. bring your income back down to 40k and therefore you pay 20%? No, it doesn't. So how it works in terms of when you graduate from being a basic rate taxpayer to a higher rate taxpayer is when you cross 50,250, inclusive of the 12,570 that you can earn tax free. So the minute you earn 51 grand, you go up from 20% to 40%. And then the next jump is at 125 or something like that. Yeah, so we've been looking at the Egypt Grand Museum. We were looking at this last week, actually. The only thing we need to do, we also want to do a Nile cruise, but we're trying to source a provider that can get us on one of the newer kind of like boats. But yeah, we've seen the museum. It's massive. It's huge. Looking at it on videos, so we're really looking forward to that. I'm coming to Dubai for a holiday and a wedding in December. It would be great to meet you for a coffee and chat about your experiences living. Listen, Harry, go to the second channel. Let me just show you the second channel, actually. 1 second. I've got a Telegram group there. Go and join the Telegram group and then message me in the group. When you're here, I'm more than happy to meet for a chat. Where is the second channel? Switch from this one. One second. What am I doing here? Okay, so this is the second channel. Okay, so go follow there. You will see in all of the videos there is a link to the Telegram group there as well. So you go join the Telegram group. Just say that you're from the live stream, and yeah, we can organize a coffee when you're here in December. You're coming at a really, really good time as well. It's going to be busy, but the temperatures in December, they're like 34, 35. It's beautiful. If you want some places to go to, I can recommend some really nice beach clubs and all that kind of stuff. Probably be able to get you some 2-for-1s and everything as well. So yeah, give me a shout. Will you have a live stream for the budget? Yes, I will have a live stream for the budget. That will be on the 26th. So we'll be doing it live. I might start a little bit early. So yeah, it's going to be a proper live stream. It's going to be amazing. It might be 2-3 hours or something like that, but yeah, we'll see. But I will be there. Okay, cool. All right. I think I've covered all the questions. I actually have to crack on and do some other work now to make sure I'm able to pay the bills. But I appreciate you for joining. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of the support and the subscribes and the likes and the comments. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for everything so far. I will see you on Monday. Cheers, guys.